Well, good afternoon. I'm Martin Hancock, Chief Executive at BCHA, and really looking forward to spending a bit of time with our customers this afternoon, and as we just perhaps talk through some elements of our new business plan, and hopefully you'll have some questions that you want to bring back to me, and we'll see later on if we can give you some sort of answers. Here we go. I'll just give you a bit of an introduction about the themes of the business plan and why we feel we need to have something like that in the organisation. So, BCHA's business plan is all about collaborating to inspire change. And we're continuing our theme as an organisation of working together, building better lives, better homes and better communities, because that's what we believe in. And I'm sure you would agree that that's what we all want, to keep improving, continuing to improve, and have better places to live and to work and to share in our neighbourhoods. So for now, as we know, we're all living in quite a very different place and circumstances, coping with this pandemic of COVID-19. I hope you are keeping safe and well. I think across the southwest we're fortunate that some of the numbers have been lower, but we are at that time, aren't we, of increase. So we all need to continue to take a bit of care. But also as an organisation, we're obviously continuing to provide our services and try and do as many repairs and support for you as our customers as we can, and look beyond that. And that's the advantage of looking at a business plan, to look at that longer term future for us all as we move forward. It's been good recently that the government have actually confirmed investment over the next 5 years into the affordable housing programme, and that's good to get this commitment while we're in this economic uncertainty. They do want to invest in more housing, affordable housing, social housing, and also opportunities for more home ownership. We're very keen that there's a lot more social rented housing, so that if you're in work and maybe not on very high incomes, you're able to live in a place that you can afford and can make your own for a long time ahead. But we're very keen as an organisation to help our customers, help you take control of your own lives. That's really part of our mission as an organisation, and we really want that to happen. We're here to help and to support that, and that's part of what giving ourselves some objectives and themes and goals in this business plan. Hopefully we can work with you to make this happen, because it's vital that we get input from those of you who are living in our services, using our services, whether that's supporting you in your own homes or through the employment and skills area of our work, or you're in one of the BCHA properties. We really want to do the best we can to help you move forward in your life. Customer engagement is a central theme of our business plan. We know we perhaps haven't got it as right as we could do in the past, but that underpins everything that we're trying to do. And the staff of BCHA were very much involved in the business plan early on, way back in last October actually. So these are all themes that came from our staff as well. And my responsibility and the senior leadership team is to ensure that we help our staff do what they can to help you. So we have 4 key themes in our business plan: customer focus, homes of choice, working together, and trying to grow the business, because if we grow the organisation, then we can create hopefully some more income, which we can then use to provide services that maybe aren't commissioned or provided or funded through the normal channels of local authorities and health. Within each of these 4 themes are a number of goals, and today I'll just take a few minutes to highlight some of those key goals. I won't go through every one, but if you want me to go through those future goals, well, maybe there'll be another opportunity. We can do another Facebook Live in a few weeks' time. So I hope you will see in some of these goals that they very much are about customer and improving the quality of our homes. Goal 1 is very much about giving you more digital and online access through developing the customer portal. We have a very basic portal at the moment, but we're putting time and energy into improving that to help you have more control and self-service opportunities. This will enable us then, obviously, to free up a bit more of our time to help those of you who maybe don't have those sort of access, you don't have the right phones or equipment, or really have the confidence and the skills to use that. Well, hopefully we can then put more of our resources into helping you, whether that's through the traditional contact that we have, through a wider opportunity to speak to people, or again offering you a bit of training and help, and seeing ways and means we may be able to get hold of some devices. At the beginning of the COVID, we did have some phones that were made available that we were able to supply to some of our customers. So we can certainly try, if there's a need there, to see what we can do working with other partners in the areas where we work, other businesses maybe, who want to support our work. Again, that's all about collaboration and working together. So a key theme there is just improving that access. And then goal 3, we really want to be the landlord of choice. And that means we need to embed our customer engagement and influence across BCHA. So we need you to keep talking to us and getting involved in those opportunities. Really grateful that so many have giving us feedback in the last few surveys we've done. One we did pre-COVID, staff to tenant survey, there's some really good feedback from you. And more recently, some really helpful information, and some of that will be shared in a Tenant Talk magazine coming out very soon. So thank you for that, and great that so many of you want to get engaged in different ways. A good number wanted to get engaged from the first survey, and then more recently a very high number, very keen to help to get involved in some form of peer support or sharing of your lived experience. And I see that as vital for us as an organisation to make sure that the homes we provide, the services we provide, and the way we influence local authorities and government is very much led by your experience and your needs and what you really would like to get from your lives. Goal 3 is also very important, that we need to continue to have working together with tenants. That's a new initiative from the National Housing Federation, which works with housing associations, and we're very much signing up to that. So we will be held to account by them as well as by yourselves, and that's a good thing, isn't it? Because then you can be assured that this will remain a high priority. Under the Homes of Choice theme, as we move on there, goal 4 is about ensuring that we continue the planned investment programme in our existing homes and complete our final group of stock condition surveys, so we know more about our homes and therefore can add that into plan to improve the accommodation that you're living in, and also make sure that we meet the building safety requirements that is coming out of new legislation from government. A lot of it triggered by the Grenfell disaster, well, over 3 years ago now, I think it is, isn't it? And that's taken rather a long time. We're always trying to keep our buildings as safe as we can, but we will also respond to any new demands that are required. Goal 5, that talks about smart buildings. You may wonder what a smart building is, but it's a term we use where we can look for technology to help improve the environment that you're living in, and also give you more control over some of the ways and the costs of running your home. It's very important, isn't it, that we keep our costs down. We want to keep our service charges down as much as we can, and I'm sure those of you in our accommodation, where obviously you're responsible for a number of bills, particularly around fuel. Fuel poverty, we know, is a real issue. It's an issue, isn't it, if you haven't got access to online services. So we may find better ways to help you with that. But we've been piloting a number of devices in homes. Some of those are around humidity detectors, which helps us to be more preventative in our repairs and maintenance before things get out of hand. And then, of course, that increases the cost, and we want to keep all of our costs and your costs down as much as possible. But also, if we can automate through that technology some of the control of compliance responsibilities, And we already, for the last couple of years, have been putting in some boilers, which you can also have access to on an app and see the cost of those things. And that's going to be an increasing priority for us to put devices in. But what we will make sure is that you can have access to the same data as we have regarding that, because I know that's really, really important. Goal 6 picks up affordable and sustainable homes. What does that mean? Well, that's our desire to keep pushing as an organisation for more and more investment into truly affordable homes. We know the private rented market across the southwest is really costly, isn't it? And that can be a cause of homelessness when the rents go up and income stays the same. So it's important that we prevent homelessness as well as help you keep your running costs as low as possible. So part of that theme is also to help soften the impact of climate change and also do our bit for the carbon reduction initiatives. So we see it's important we all do play our part, isn't it, really, in contributing to improving a better world that we all live in. Moving quickly to Goal 8, and that's about influence. You may think, why am I mentioning that one? Is that of importance to you? But yes, I think it is. And as an organisation, BCHA in housing association terms isn't that large an organisation, but we can have a lot of influence. We need you to input your stories. Tell us about your experiences of life. We need to be able to change hearts and minds. We need to be able to tell government about the benefit of social rents, rents that are sub-market. That means that you can have independence. You're not reliant on other help because you can be working even on a lower income, but still be able to enjoy many aspects of life because rent is not such a burden as it was. Obviously, as an organisation, we need you to pay your rent. And if we do, that's great because you can stay in that home and we can reinvest that money into improving the facilities. So yes, that's important. We want to prevent homelessness, end homelessness, and that's where we want to feed into these larger organisations, places like Crisis, Homes for Cathy, Homeless Link. They need our support to help them lobby at those higher levels of national government. And what I've learnt over the last few years is that although sometimes I think we all think, does my voice count? Well, actually, a lot of people don't put their voice forward, and as an organisation we're certainly committed and investing in people to try and make that happen and do our part. Coming to the last few goals, Goal 9 is about owning more homes, and that is for the very simple reason that the more homes that BCHA can have, the more we can rent out at lower rents, and the more we can help you to move on, whether that's coming from supported housing services or staying long-term in accommodation. In the past, we've often done a lot of housing that's been leased, and when those leases come to the end, unfortunately, we can't always extend those. And we want more permanent housing, so you've got that stability and something you don't have to worry about, like you can do in some of the private sector. So by helping to get to more grant funding from Homes England, who distribute the money on behalf of government, that gives us a sort of interest-free element to our money that helps us put deposits down on properties to build or to buy, and then BCHA will borrow the rest of the money, and then we're able to bring more housing in. So that's part of our plan, and we're doing that now in our small way. And Goal 10 and Goal 11, a couple of the goals. One is about our work to end homelessness, and the other is about providing more support around health and well-being and skills. Some of you will know and hopefully have used some of our employment and skills services, which are really, really good. Our Ignite service and one or two others have been really successful, and we know the difference that's made to so many people to move on into volunteering or work. Those are again areas that we want to continue developing. We want to improve the quality of the services we offer, and really just make that difference to broaden the offering around mental and physical health, domestic abuse, employment and skills. We know there's a massive need out there, and sadly at the moment, isn't there, areas of domestic abuse have been increasing through all these various lockdowns, and we want to do what we can to help people in those situations. So ultimately, we want to work together to help all of us build better lives, better homes and better communities, and that is certainly our commitment. This probably covers the goals and ambitions that we have as an organisation. I hope some of that is clear and understandable, but we have some very committed staff now that are willing and able to help and willing to and wanting to learn and to change and to help make things happen. It won't happen overnight. It's a 5-year business plan that we've put in place, but I've tried to pick up some of those targets during the next 12 months, and we want to serve all our customers to the highest standards in the best way we can to ensure we deliver on this plan. So it's a lot to take on in a few minutes there, but really great if you've got any questions you want to feed in. I know we maybe have had 1 or 2 already that have come in. So now for the next 30 or 40 minutes, I'm here to answer any questions. So even if you can't think of one now, do send one in during that time. So thank you for listening and for joining us, and now we'll see if I can answer some of those questions.
Martin, Adam has said, BCHA has helped me in the past and I was going through a bad time, and the hostels really helped me being independent. If it wasn't for BCHA, I wouldn't be here. So that's a nice...
Well, that's lovely, Adam. Thank you very much. And it is good. We do need to hear. I like to hear stories of that come back from people. Whether it's brilliant to have something as positive that, but even if things aren't working, we need to know that as well.
We've got another one coming from Janet. She's got 3 questions in one. Is the scrutiny panel still operating? She lives in a general needs flat, but what does BCHA have in regards to retirement places, and what is shared ownership?
Right, well that's 3 really, really good questions, isn't it? The scrutiny panel doesn't exist in the format it does, but it's certainly an area that we want to improve, and I think for me, if there is a desire from you to want that scrutiny panel put in as an organisation, I know the board and myself would be very happy for that to happen, as well as other levels of engagement. So we want to try and hold ourselves to account as much as we can. The question around about retirement homes, BCHA doesn't generally do a lot around what would be termed older people's accommodation, and that's predominantly because there's a lot of other bigger housing associations who are able to do that on the right scale and size. We do have 1 or 2 places that are specifically for perhaps people over 55 or over 65, but it's very limited as far as we're concerned. But hopefully, if you're in a general needs home, that's a home that you would be able to stay into, and maybe over time we may be able to make some adaptations as people get older, and that's certainly something we would be looking at. And shared ownership, yes, shared ownership is something that BCHA hasn't done a lot of, because we're always trying to get social rented homes or affordable rented homes, but shared ownership is very much where you can buy a proportion of that home. I think it starts something about a minimum of 25%, and you can then bit by bit, we have a share, you have that share, and then over time, if someone wants to acquire another portion of that home, you can gradually scale that up. They call it staircasing, and you can gradually get more and more ownership. Ultimately, in a number of cases, you could ultimately get 100% ownership, and it's a way of just getting onto that ownership ladder if that's what you want to do. And it's certainly something I know the government is very keen around home ownership, and so that is high on their agenda. So hopefully that's an explanation that helps you.
We've had some questions sent in by customers in advance to our customer engagement team, and the first one we've got is, will the changes affect me as a tenant, the customer?
Well, we hope they will affect you positively. There should be nothing in there that will have a negative impact on you, and that's certainly our intention. The intention is that we should improve our services, what we achieve, what you will receive as very much an existing customer. This isn't just for any new people who come along for our housing. It's very much all these changes are to help you in any way that you want, and we understand some of you will be quite happy where you are, but we want to encourage more involvement with us, definitely out of this, and hopefully you will see some improvements in a range of our services as we keep that overarching intention and desire to continue to listen and learn.
The next question we've had is, I don't have a computer or a smartphone, so how am I going to access this new customer portal?
Yeah, well, again, a very good question. You would be able to access it if you were able to use sort of the IT computer equipment in libraries or other common areas, and in a number of our services we do have access to computers that are available to the public. We've obviously had to curtail some of that over these last 6 months, and certainly we want to make that available. But if you haven't got that facility, I think, as I maybe mentioned earlier, I would say that talk to us about that. We'll see what we can do to help you learn more about those services. But if that's not something that you really want to do, well, we'll still be here for you to pick up the phone or pop in and see us in your nearest location, engage with your tenancy officer or support worker, and we still very much want to keep that sort of face-to-face phone contact or personal contact available. So, and if the only way you can contact us is by sending us a letter, well, you know, we'll work in that way. But hopefully we'll find some way of communicating with you face-to-face or on some phone. And who knows, yes, if we know there's sufficient need and demand, we will go out there and see whether we can get hold of other devices, or if we have devices that become available, we might find ways to see how we can share those with a number of our customers.
The next question that's been sent in to us is a 3-in-1. What does being a good landlord mean? Will I get cheaper rent? Will I still get evicted if I can't pay my rent because my universal credit has been stopped?
Yeah, well, again, 3 very good questions. What does a good landlord look like? I think you will define as our customer what a good landlord looks like. We believe that we've got to make sure that we have high standards, good quality homes as best as we can. We recognise that unfortunately not all of the homes we have are brand new, and so we have to make the best of what we can. But it's important that we provide you a good service, that we do respond to repairs and maintenance needs, and that we're available to talk to you if ever your circumstances change. So the example of the universal credit example, tell us if there's an issue. Unfortunately, with the benefit system now, often as your landlord, we don't get to hear unless you tell us, and therefore some vital time can be missed. And we do have support workers, we do have people in our income recovery looking at the financial inclusion, have connections there. So don't be afraid to talk to us earlier. The sooner you talk to us, the sooner we can see if we can help you. And that way, it means that the absolute last resort will be an eviction. Our aim is not to evict everyone. We try and monitor evictions because we see that as a sort of a negative. But as I think all of you will appreciate, that we all have an obligation, don't we, to try and pay our rent. We must pay our rent. If we don't pay our rent and we get in too many arrears, then ultimately that will make it difficult going forward. But we have some good people who know how we can help, and the important thing is to engage with us as soon as possible to see what we can do to help you, because that is a last resort, and I think we will be seen as an organisation that gives opportunity and second chances or more to people that we are working with.
We've been asked what BCHA is going to do about sorting out fuel poverty.
Yes, well that gets picked up a little bit in the Homes of Choice theme of our business plan. We talked about the affordable homes in that respect, the smart building technology, using that technology, which I must admit I was surprised to find out a little while ago during the last 12 months that some of these devices are not too expensive for us to invest in, so we can invest to save, as they say, and some of that, having that information and data easily available to us and available to you if you want it, will help you understand where all the costs go. Looking at improvements with the new green initiative, we're trying to see if we can access that to improve the energy efficiency of our homes. We've set ourselves a target to make sure everything is at least level C or above. We'd already put that in our business plan even before that came out from government, so it was good to be ahead of the game, and we will try and keep improving from level C upwards, and that's our target. So that will all help your fuel bills. Other than that, yes, that's really just continue to improve and invest. The stock condition surveys we're doing in homes is to try and put a longer term plan for investment into homes over the next 5 years.
And the next question we've got is, how will I benefit as a general needs tenant from all the new properties that BCHA says it's going to build? How can I get a nice brand new property to live in for an affordable rent?
Yeah, well,
social rent.
That is a little bit out of our control. We very much build in partnership with the various local authorities we work with, and with the Homes England, who I mentioned earlier, are involved in distributing some of the government grant money they put into social housing and affordable housing. So we're very much aligned with them. So I can't promise anything that we can't fully control, but that's something that you'll need to monitor. You may, if you need a change of housing because the family gets larger or smaller, then that's something to make sure you're registered with your local authority and keep an eye on those home choice services to see whether you can get an alternative change. There are things available like swapping houses around, but that doesn't happen very often, certainly with us. Again, because the number of homes we have is relatively small, and so a lot less choice. Sorry that I can't make any promises on that one.
How can I move on from supported accommodation to owning my own front door?
Well, yes, that's something that we're very keen on. We've certainly been very much trying to look at move-on options, as we might refer to it. What's the next step from having been in supported accommodation? You can go from supported accommodation into longer-term housing if that's what's appropriate for yourself, where you're totally independent. Other times there's a sort of transition to maybe a move-on stage with a bit of lower level support, a bit of floating support, and that's something we're always trying to do. We're involved recently with the Next Steps accommodation programme that government have for people who've been perhaps rough sleeping or not properly housed during this pandemic, to try and get some longer term move on accommodation. So that's another opportunity. We're hoping to hear a bit more about whether we are going to get a bit more grant that will enable us to go and buy some new properties that perhaps are already built from other developers. But that is what we try and do, is just add more and more into that. Longer term, yes, if you want to get into home ownership, well, maybe shared ownership is an option. There's a new scheme coming up from government, not something that we'll be involved with, but that's called First Homes, where there's discounts on that. So shared ownership may be an option. That's the advantage, that I think if we are able to get more grant funding from government, that means we can have true what we term social rents, which is probably about 60-65% of the market rent. It may enable you to save a little bit week by week, which then helps towards a deposit. So over 5 years you might be able to get a bit of a deposit, which then enables you to go into the open market, depending on your circumstances.
Another question is, what are we going to do about antisocial behaviour issues, and when are you going to take it seriously?
Well, I believe we do take antisocial behaviour seriously. It's not always within our control, and there may be times, often where you do need to call the public services, the police. It is all about, with antisocial behaviour, gathering the evidence, because ultimately, if the antisocial behaviour is caused by people maybe living next door or closely in other accommodation nearby, there will be a legal process to go through, depending whether there's other landlords owning those properties or whatever. It can be, I'm afraid, a long process, but the more evidence that can be gathered, that just will help and help. If the antisocial behaviour is, outside the premises and the like, again, there may be ways and means of keeping an eye on that. But generally speaking, yes, make use of the public services out there and report these things, as well as very much keep in touch with your tenancy officer and keep them informed. And I'm sure they will come and visit. And if it's a block of flats that we own, then obviously they will be able to talk to other tenants to maybe help gather some of that evidence.
And the next question is, why does it take so long for repairs to reply to my maintenance requests?
Well, yes, there's not a straightforward answer on that, is there? We have been a bit slow on maintenance. I think I said earlier that we haven't done as well in a range of our services as we would have liked. There's a lot of good things, but it's not at the level and standard that we would expect. We've certainly had some changes in staff, and with a small team that is always a problem, but we have to find ways of overcoming that because we need to maintain a consistent service to you. We have managed to catch up a considerable number of repairs over these last 6 months, and so we believe that we should be able to respond so much quicker and better. We do have to use external subcontractors as well, and sometimes they won't always turn up when we expect them to, but we are trying to put more systems and processes in to enable that to happen. And again, in some of our systems, in repairs and maintenance, we're trying to automate some of the responses we can make, so that actually frees up more time to schedule the works, to get the materials in place, and to also make sure that our subcontractors deliver on time, as well, of course, our own repairs team. But with a small team, recruiting the right staff. So if there's any of you know anybody who's a really good multi-trade, I think we could do with one or two of those. We have a vacancy in our new leaf repairs team. We've got a great team there, but that is very much needed.
The next question is, who decides who gets to move into a BCHA property?
Yeah, well, generally speaking, it comes back to who gets nominated and referred by the local authority, whether that's into supported housing with various contracts we have there, and a majority of the housing comes through those home choice systems that have variation of type in the different geographical area to wherever you're living. We then obviously have the opportunity to assess that nomination to make sure it's the right fit, because obviously we want the person to fit into the neighbourhood and check that the accommodation is appropriate for your needs, because there may be some adjustments or adaptations we need to make. So that generally is how it happens. Occasionally we can have some direct nominations from the public, but we can't keep a waiting list as such. Some of the larger housing associations have that obligation passed over to the local authority to keep waiting lists for accommodation. And
the next question is, do you think it would be advantageous to put in CCTV to all outside areas of BCHA properties?
Yeah, CCTV is an interesting one, isn't it? And I think that's general in life. How much do we want people watching us? I think this is the whole thing, isn't it? About a bigger issue than BCHA, I would say, about freedom and control. And all those sort of things that come along. Where appropriate, we do install CCTV, and if necessary, we put in some temporary CCTV. We have done that in certain situations where, again, we've had a bit of antisocial behaviour, and that usually is the better solution. so it's short term, because then it gives you and your neighbours the freedom to come and go as you please, and I don't think you'd want us watching you all the time. We wouldn't want to do that. That's not what our role is. What we do is want to make sure you have quiet enjoyment of where you're at as much as we can. So as I say, where needed, we will put CCTV in, but we try and avoid that if we can for those wider issues in society.
I think that's all that's come in now, so thank you.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you very much. It's been good to spend some time with you, and if you think other people you know might like to join a session, let us know what sort of what you'd like to ask questions about. It may not be the business plan anymore, but quite happy to do that again. But do engage with our customer engagement team, your tenancy officer, support worker, and we'll see what we can do in the future. Thank you.